So you know that, of course, there were barricades and everything during the convoy. One of the surprises for me, flying from Vancouver to Ottawa in mid-November of 2022, 9 months after the protests, as I walked back and forth on Wellington Street to the National Archive and Library building where the public inquiry was happening, there were barricades. Nobody could drive on Wellington Street. And it was like this eerie sense that the government had those barricades up so no one could drive on Wellington Street, just to remind us of how scary the protesters were in the minds of the powers that be. So it's, yeah, so we need to have a real refit with our government, and what Eddie was saying about we can't be living under kind of this catastrophizing, alarmist, kind of regime that always imagines the worst case scenario and tries to project it onto peaceful protesters.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming, gentlemen. The government has definitely been using manipulation and brainwashing techniques that seem to have been effective, but they all coalesce on 2030 as being the goal, the date. Do you see any hope to avert what they planned for us? Since the COVID thing was all planned, so do you think their plan will succeed?
Would you like an answer for each person? Okay. I got the mic, so I'll go first. No, they're not going to succeed. No. If you look at what's happening around the world, their plan is falling apart very quickly, and that's why their desperation is showing. They're doing, and they're pushing so hard. We've got them on the run, we really do, and I don't think they're going to be successful. But if we stop now, they could win. And we might have some losses along the way. I really think in the big picture, we got it. I really do. What do you think, Tom? Then I'll pass it to Rick. And then Vince.
Yeah, I like Donald Trump or not, that doesn't really matter. You just gotta look at the results. You have to see where he is focusing, and I try to have some faith that he has been setting certain traps. Basically setting the conditions for things to happen that is going to be an advantage to the public in the future. And I guess the big thing that I always fall back to is when the bread lines start, if we get to that point, that's where you're going to see that fundamental switch in everybody's brains. Because right now it's very hard to imagine people who feel like they have skin in the game. So as long as they don't have skin in the game, they don't have to do anything. They don't even have to look at it, pay attention, participate, nothing. They'll be happy to let everyone else do this stuff and then say, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just go to work and get paid and pay your taxes and shut up? When the bread lines start, there's going to be people that say, why didn't anyone do anything? And we're all going to say, where the hell have you been? Elbows up with your head in the sand? That's where you've been? We haven't been able to progress because you've actually been actively stopping us. Yep. So we're all going to have a choice to make at that point. When the bread lines start, do we forgive and help them? Or do we just say, I got my own to worry about? You had your chance. I hope that we forgive and help and have strength in numbers. That's what I hope.
I think everybody had a chance to see what happened in Thailand the other day with the earthquake. Okay, so I want you to metaphorically understand that both metaphorically and physically, that's Davos right now. Globalism is dying. It's falling apart. It's just crumbling. It's kind of
absolutely.
Unfortunately, everyone, BlackRock and everybody, is all betting on this one pathway, and that has been severely impeded. It's crumbling, and it's going to take time, but you're watching what's happening in Germany, in the UK, in France with Marine Le Pen. The populist vote is way up. People have had enough. And I can't make a difference here in Canada to say, hey, here's what I need you to do. I just got to sit back and watch the show, and I like what I'm going to see. But there is going to be a show, and when the show happens, please, everybody's got to jump on that momentum. Jump on that momentum, because we have to tear it all down. And it is coming down.
Yes, well, I mean, we're part of a global movement where there are people, populist groups, and Marine Le Pen in France, the leader in Romania, who was prevented from running. There was a film out 7 years ago called Death of Stalin, which is about the end of Joseph Stalin's life and the transition, rather comically presented. But at one point in the film, now that Stalin is gone, there are a bunch of people, about 6 or 7 people who are hired, and their jobs have been to be Stalin doubles, just so that, you know, it's not really Stalin speaking, but right now there's just a Stalin double. So maybe in the, you know, a sign of that we're really winning will be when we start to think, that's not Mark Carney, that's a Carney double, you know, so. Which will be a sign of the end of the regime, yeah.
I plead the fifth. No, yeah, there'll be some information coming forward very soon, yeah. You know, you can't give all of your strategies all at once. The PPC is definitely gaining in public support. And we need to be very mindful of how we're going to be attacked with things that we say. So strategically, things will be put forward as we see the battlefield of how the other parties are positioning themselves. Because we are the underdog, no doubt about it. You know, the big thing you get is, oh, you guys are going to split the vote. That's the biggest misinformation that's out there. Just, you know, I don't mean to talk politics, but just to give you a sort of an idea of what that is that the PPC is not out to split the vote. The loyalists that are conservative, they're going to vote conservative. That's just the way it is. What the PPC is doing their best to accomplish is the people that didn't vote. Think about it, at most maybe 60% of our population doesn't, or they vote, but 40% doesn't. And there's also disgruntled voters in each of the parties, from Liberal, NDP, the Greens, and so on. Those are the people we're trying to engage with, and that's a very large segment of our population that aren't satisfied with the two-party system that, you know, it's kind of the political ping pong. Bing, bing, you know, conservative, liberal, and we're not showing improvement. Our country is, it's just this, then that, and this, then that.
And
we need very significant change. Will PPC form the next government? My opinion, no, they won't. But if you look at the Greens' succession to power, I believe they were formed in '88. And it took them until 2008 to get their first MP elected. That person crossed the floor. Then the next one was 2011. So think of all the years it took to get their party established. The PPC's only been in existence since 2019, and it's gaining momentum across the country. So we're hopeful to get some MPs elected this time to be a voice of change in Parliament. And I think it's very effective. When you look at what the NDP has done, held us hostage for the past 4 years, that's unacceptable. We can't let that happen again. When you get a mandate as a Liberal government with a 4.9 million votes, and you can hold power for as long as they did, that's got to change. So
as a dictatorship.
Pretty much. It pretty much is. But anyway, that's the last of my political speech. I'm not here to campaign, but, you know.
Let's hear it.
I wasn't gonna mention it, but yes, you guys mentioned it, so thank you so much.
I think that you call for the arrest of the Trudeau government for crimes against humanity, for the thousands, if not millions of Canadians who have been injured and killed by the COVID vaccine. And I think we could put, them in jail and turn it into a reality TV show.
Well, you know, to answer that, and I know all of you being in agreement, we need accountability, and we need to discover how the whole situation happened, and, you know, leave it to our judicial system to look at, was there crimes committed? We, as citizens, we might know, but we can't act on that. We don't have that ability. So we have to put the trust in the systems that keep our country a democracy to hold those people accountable. So that's what my hope is that we will get to the bottom of it, and if there's crimes, those people will be held accountable for it. So.
Yeah. I think the best that we could do is remove the liability protection that the pharmaceutical company gets. If someone is harmed, they should have a do no harm only policy. It's
And the mainstream media, they should be held accountable for what they've done.
Yeah, they participated.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, but they showed fascism because they all work together. Government, pharmacy,
You're
and
right.
media.
And they call us the fascists.
Yeah, yeah, it's projection. That's what liberals do. They
Absolutely.
project.
You know, they're very good at what they do.
Yes.
They're diabolical, no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Yeah.
And they've been very effective because if you look at it, you know, use a Star Wars analogy, sometimes we feel like Luke in that little spaceship trying to, you know, turn that thing just right to get down the alley and, or down that channel and destroy the Death Star. Well, in reality, that's not what's going to happen. It's, you know, chipping away, and then the whole thing comes down. So,
sorry, may I ask? So, but you're still talking about the systems that are so corrupt right now.
yes.
Do you really think that they are going to transform?
No.
I don't see that happening. If you talk about the medical model alone, pharmaceutical industry, what he was
Yeah.
saying, this is not.
We need
You
radical
cannot
change in our
transform that.
system, yes.
The radical change is the only thing that's going
You
to
know
do
how we
anything.
do it? We elect governments that are ideologically in line with how we think.
Yeah.
So we can make those changes.
So we
Doing
have
the ping pong isn't going to work
no,
anymore.
no,
it's
no.
not
It's
working.
just not.
We have no
If you want the
representation.
same thing, vote the same thing,